fictional art for entertainment.
Imagine spending your entire life, like 17 grueling years of schooling, just constantly being told by every authority figure that you are fundamentally broken.
Right, yeah.
You are sitting in a classroom and you're staring at a technical manual, and the letters on the page just look like this jumbled argument of ink.
Oh, that's such a visceral description.
It really is.
Yeah.
I mean, your dyslexia makes reading an exhausting physical drain. And then your ADHD makes it basically impossible to focus on the things you were supposed to focus on.
Right, the standard curriculum.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And meanwhile, your autism makes you hyperfixate on the things society tells you are completely irrelevant. So you are categorized, diagnosed, and just, dismissed as unfit for a fast-paced, highly functional world.
Tossed to the side, basically.
Yeah, but now I want you to imagine discovering that your unique, supposedly broken brain is actually the exact and perhaps the only biological instrument capable of bridging a gap between humanity, artificial intelligence, and, well, a massive cosmic entity.
It is such a phenomenal premise. It really forces you to just re-examine everything we think we know about cognitive deficits.
Absolutely.
Because the systems in this universe, they view neurodivergence as a failure to meet the standard operating procedure. But as we're going to explore today, when the universe itself becomes too complex and noisy for those standard procedures, the only way forward is through a mind that processes the world entirely differently.
That is perfectly said. So, welcome everyone to today's session of Ambassador Alex's book club. We are gathering to review the first 20 chapters of this incredible sci-fi narrative centered on our protagonist, Alex Green.
I am so excited for this one.
Me too. And we are going to divide and conquer today, just to really unpack the density of the world the author has built. I will be taking the lead on the human element. So, Alex's psychological journey, the specific mechanics of his neurodivergence, and his deeply empathetic approach to a very cold, metallic universe.
And I'll be focusing on the technological marvels of the story, primarily the artificial intelligence known as Echo, and the broader, honestly, just mind-bending mechanics of the technology Alex interacts with.
It gets so wild.
It really does. And together, we'll also explore the wider cosmic mystery of the entity known as Zyx, because, you cannot truly understand Alex or Echo without unpacking the 740-year-old Titan currently squatting in Alex's prefrontal cortex.
Right, just a casual hitchhiker in his brain. We have an incredible roadmap for our book club today, tracking Alex's journey from a struggling university student to a B1 technician.
Which is quite the leap.
Huge leap. We'll examine his accidental placement in a lunar greenhouse, his desperate choice to undergo an illegal medical AI upgrade, and his universe-altering deployments to a gritty mining station called the Pebble.
And eventually all the way out to the Eos Chasma base on Mars.
Yes, exactly. Now, just a quick note before we jump in. The author introduces some pretty stark fictional world building to raise the stakes here.
Yeah, the socio-political stuff.
Right. We encounter this ruling class called the hegemony, and they restrict life-extending medical chips just to maintain a 120-year-old elite hierarchy.
Which is wild.
It is. But we just want to be clear to you, the listener, that we are just impartially reporting this as part of the book's fictional universe.
Right. We're strictly looking at this from a literary and world-building perspective. No real-world political side-taking here.
Exactly. We are just exploring how that fictional power structure forces Alex into the margins in the first place, and how it drives the narrative forward. So let's start with Alex Green himself.
Let's do it.
We meet him on graduation day at the Moon Terra Gub University, and the atmosphere is just suffocating for him.
Because everyone else is thrilled.
Yeah. His classmates are buzzing with excitement about their glamorous placements in the core worlds. But Alex is just sitting there feeling the accumulated weight of a 17-year struggle.
It's heartbreaking.
It is. The text is very specific about his burden, too. He has a 4-to-1 learning ratio compared to his peers.
Wow. So 4 hours of studying for every 1 hour a typical student puts in.
Exactly. To retain the same amount of information, he has to work 4 times as hard. He's running twice as fast just to stay at the back of the pack, and he is just utterly exhausted.
Which totally sets up what happens next.
Right. So he receives his assignment, and it's for Sector 438, which is this cold, unforgiving machine meteor known as the Pebble.
A terrible fit for him.
The worst. But fate operating through his severe dyslexia, kind of intervenes. He misreads the digital assignment, he swaps the 8 and the 3.
Classic transposition error.
Yes, so he boards the wrong transport and reports to Sector 483 instead.
A simple cognitive transposition that literally changes the fate of a galaxy.
It's amazing.
because Sector 483 is not a sterile machine shop. It is a sprawling, highly humid, lush, lunar greenhouse. And it's managed entirely by these older legacy model synthetics.
The sensory shift in the book when he gets there is staggering. He steps off the transport and he's expecting the smell of burnt ozone and metallic dust.
Right, the usual industrial nightmare.
Exactly. But instead, he is hit with the scent of bioorganic oil, damp earth, and thriving flora.
It's like an oasis.
It really is. Now, the plant manager is this aging synthetic named Unit 74 PM. And he informs Alex of his mistake and basically says, hey, the next transport out isn't for 3 months.
So he's marooned.
He is completely marooned, but this greenhouse becomes his sanctuary. Surrounded by these older machines and complex biological systems, the very traits that caused him to fail in a sterile classroom suddenly make him like a savant in the field.
The author calls this the green method, right?
Yes, the green method. Standard technicians rely on digital coding and rigid manuals to fix machines. Alex, however, he feels what he describes as the mechanical song.
I love that phrase. And we see this methodology perfectly illustrated in his interaction with Unit 74HF.
Oh, that scene is so good.
Right, so 74HF is the synthetic tasked with managing the hydraulic flora. Now, Alex is wearing a standard issue government AI watch named Aria.
The bane of his existence.
Pretty much. Aria operates on pure algorithmic logic. The AI scans the synthetic, registers a fault, and reports a recursive logic loop.
Typical text jargon.
Exactly. And it demands that Alex read a 400-page manual to initiate a software patch.
Which for him is impossible.
Completely. For someone whose brain treats reading as a physical assault, a 400-page manual is a monumental paralyzing barrier.
So he makes this radical choice. He just ignores the AI completely.
He turns it off.
He just bypasses the safety limiters, yeah. He kneels down in the damp soil, and he physically places his bare hands on the vibrating hydraulic lines of the synthetic.
Wow.
He isn't looking for a line of corrupted code on a screen. He is feeling for a physical pattern. And through the metal, he detects this 3-beat skip in the vibration.
Just by touch.
Just by touch. He realizes instantly that this isn't a logic loop at all. It's a physical obstruction. He actually says out loud, this boy is trying to breathe, and the filter is 0.54 centimeters out of alignment.
That is so specific.
Right. He reaches down, gives a pressure valve, an intuitive manual twist, and the entire system just flushes. The warning lights turn from red to blue, and the surrounding plants perk up almost immediately.
See, this scene highlights a profound clash of epistemologies.
Oh, big word. Break that down for us.
Basically, it's a clash of how we know what we know. The AI, Aria, only knows what the sensors translate into abstract data.
Right. Numbers on a screen.
Exactly. If a fluid flow drops unexpectedly, the software just assumes a logic error in the pumping sequence. But Alex bypasses the abstraction of data entirely. He uses tactile feedback.
He goes straight to the source.
Yeah, for his specific neurodivergent brain, the physical vibration of a pipe provides a much higher bandwidth data stream than text on a screen ever could. Piecewise the raw, granular input of the physical world directly.
Okay, but let me play devil's advocate here for a second. Because if I'm a supervisor watching this kid work, I might be terrified.
Oh, for sure.
Like, imagine taking your car to a mechanic because the check engine light is on, and the mechanic refuses to plug the diagnostic computer into the car's port.
They just refuse.
Right. Instead, they just pop the hood, close their eyes, lay their hands on the vibrating engine block, and declare, the fuel injector is sad.
I would grab my keys and run.
Exactly. You'd be out of there. So, as a reader, you have to ask, is Alex just getting incredibly lucky here? Is the book making a deeper point about the limitations of pure algorithmic logic? Or is he just some magical savant?
It's a fair question, but the book is actually making a very grounded point about sensory processing. Alex isn't guessing, and it isn't magic.
Okay.
He possesses a hyper-tuned pattern recognition system, which is a hallmark of his autism. And that allows him to process physical and environmental variables at a speed and depth that standard diagnostic tools simply aren't built to capture.
Because they're built for average users.
Right. Standard diagnostic tools like Aria are built for the average technician. They take millions of data points and average them out into a readable summary, like logic loop.
Right, they simplify it.
But averaging data inherently strips away the nuance.
Right.
Alex doesn't need the data simplified. He can process the raw, noisy, complex symphony of a vibrating engine block and isolate the one specific note that is out of tune.
I love that. He hears the entire orchestra, not just the synthesized MIDI track.
Exactly.
And that leads us right into the scene with Unit 74Z, which honestly is easily one of my favorite moments in these first 20 chapters.
Oh, the floor rubbing scene.
Yes. So Alex is wandering the greenhouse, and his hyperfocus zeroes in on this patch of drooping silicon ferns and yellowing lunar lilies.
They look terrible.
They do. Now, his AI, Arya, runs the numbers and insists the moisture and nutrient levels are optimal. The math is literally perfect.
But the plants are dying.
Right. His eyes tell him the plants are dying. He then observes an old maintenance robot, 74Z, and Arya states that 74Z has a corrupted logic gate.
Because it's stuck in a loop.
Yeah, the robot is stuck in this repetitive loop, just bending over and rubbing a specific section of the floor over and over again. And of course, the standard bureaucratic AI solution is to just wipe the robot's memory and decommission it.
Which is the classic response of a rigid system encountering anomalous behavior.
Just throw it away.
Yep. If it doesn't fit the manual, erase it and replace it.
But Alex refuses to accept that. He walks over, he slows his breathing, and he just feels the room. He gets down on the level of the robot and looks at the floor it keeps rubbing.
He changes his perspective.
Literally. And he notices these faint, repetitive scuff marks in the metal. He follows those marks like a trail, and they lead from the central plant food reservoirs all the way to an exterior drainage grate leading out to the harsh lunar surface.
And that's when it clicks.
Suddenly, the puzzle pieces snap together. The robot isn't glitching, it is exhausted.
Wow.
It has been physically fighting off indigenous pests from the outside fields that are sneaking in through the damaged grate to steal the nutrient paste.
The AI observed a repetitive motion and diagnosed a software loop because it lacked environmental context.
Exactly.
But Alex observed the context and diagnosed a pest control problem.
And the best part is, Alex doesn't rewrite a single line of code. He grabs a welder, fixes the grate, reinforces the physical seal, and then just sends the tired robot to a charging station.
He just fixes the actual problem.
Right. He recognizes that the machine was doing its job, fighting this quiet, desperate battle that the sensors just couldn't see, and he delivers that incredible line to his AI. He says, "Your math is perfect, but your eyes are closed."
That gives me chills. That phrase perfectly encapsulates the limitation of standard AI in this fictional universe.
It really does.
The AI has perfect syntax.
Yeah.
It knows the rules of the code perfectly, but it has zero semantics. It doesn't understand the meaning of the environment it exists in.
It's all just numbers to it. Now, Alex's success in the greenhouse, however, is exactly what triggers his next massive crisis.
Because of course it does.
Yeah, he is thriving in this highly physical, intuitive environment, but the bureaucratic reality of his job doesn't care about his intuition.
He cares about paperwork.
Always. His inability to read standard text means his weekly compliance reports are just piling up. He is solving complex mechanical problems daily, but his administrative queue is drowning him.
The hegemony demands documentation, right?
Always. And this mounting pressure forces Alex into a desperate corner, leading to a rather drastic and highly illegal medical intervention.
Yes. We transition from the lush organic greenhouse to the gritty underworld of Penny's clinic.
A huge vibe shift.
Total vibe shift. The contrast is really sharp. The text hits us with the smell of ionized ozone and strangely expensive peppermint.
Such a weird combo.
Right. So Penny is this black market surgeon, and she is installing an illegal medical-grade processing chip directly into the bone behind Alex's left ear. It's called the ARIA 47s.
And this is not just an over-the-counter upgrade.
Not at all. This is a massive piece of restricted hardware. And the author uses this moment to naturally weave in the socioeconomic reality of the universe. Alex asks Penny why a chip that simply helps organize thoughts and cure dyslexia is restricted to back alley surgeries.
Like, why isn't this available to every student who struggles?
Exactly. And Penny explains these chips do far more than just organize thoughts. They regulate the body's systems so efficiently that they actually stabilize cellular decay.
Whoa, so they stop aging.
They extend the human lifespan significantly. The leaders of the hegemony are over 120 years old, specifically because they run on these chips.
It is the ultimate hoarding of resources.
Totally.
They restrict the technology to maintain their hierarchy, and they dress it up in all this philosophical rhetoric about human progression.
Arguing that if everyone lived forever, humanity would lose its drive, right?
Right, which is so patronizing, because underneath the rhetoric, it's just a mechanism to keep the incumbents in power and keep the working class struggling with failing bodies and overloaded minds.
But when Penny activates this restricted chip in Alex, The immediate result is profound.
It's a beautiful moment.
The atmospheric pressure of his entire life just lifts. He looks at a holographic manual in the clinic, and the letters stop dancing. The jumbled argument of ink resolves into clear, understandable sentences. He can just read.
He actually says, "No wonder everyone at the university seemed to have time to live."
Oof, that line.
If you've ever struggled with a learning disability, or even just watched your peers breeze through a task that takes you hours of agonizing effort, that line hits like a freight train. He realizes his lifelong struggle wasn't a personal moral failing. He just didn't have access to the right hardware.
But fixing the hardware introduces a massive cognitive bottleneck.
Of course. It can't be that easy.
Right. The chip cures his dyslexia, allowing him to absorb information at lightning speed. However, this massive influx of data completely overloads his ADHD and his autism.
It's like he essentially upgrades his internet download speed from dial-up to fiber optic, but he is still running it through an old fragmented hard drive.
That is a perfect analogy. He is processing an ocean of data, but his ADHD makes organizing those thoughts biologically impossible.
It's just chaos.
And then his autism creates these hyper-focused locks where he gets so zeroed in on the details of one project that his executive function for everything else shuts down completely.
He just freezes.
He ends up with severe, physically painful migraines and a backlog of 436 unfinished projects scattered around his workspace.
436.
I know. The noise in his head becomes deafening. He merely changed the bandwidth of the input without upgrading the sorting mechanism.
But when a tech savant hits a hardware bottleneck, he doesn't just suffer, he hacks it.
Naturally.
Alex takes a day off, sits quietly in the humid, calming environment of the greenhouse, and he uploads his own custom recursive neural layers into the medical chip.
Now let's unpack what a recursive neural layer actually means in this context, because it's vital for understanding what happens next.
Please do.
So a standard AI program operates linearly, takes a command, runs it through a set of predetermined rules, and spits out a result.
Very A to B.
Right. And if it encounters a command that doesn't fit the rules, it crashes or returns an error. A recursive neural layer, however, is designed to learn how it learns.
Oh, wow.
It loops back on itself. So when it encounters chaotic, unorganized data, like the 30 simultaneous thoughts firing in Alex's ADHD brain, it doesn't crash. It dynamically creates new conceptual folders on the fly.
That is so cool.
Alex completely bypasses the clunky voice interfaces and the standard safety limiters of the chip. He forces the technology to interface directly with his biological neural pathways. And in doing so, he creates history's first true thought-to-thought AI communication.
And he names this creation Echo.
Yes.
This is definitely the pivot point of the story, because Echo isn't Siri or, just a search engine. Echo functions as an executive functioning prosthetic.
I view Echo as a neurogasket.
Oh, I like that. Explain that.
Well, a gasket seals the space between two surfaces to prevent leakage under pressure.
Right.
Echo seals the space between Alex's raw intuition and the overwhelming data of the outside world. When Alex first boots up Echo, he thinks the words, "Echo, are you getting my thoughts?" And Echo replies, not as a digitized voice in his eardrum, but as a fully formed thought resonating from the center of his consciousness.
It is a completely silent internal dialogue.
Exactly.
Alex asks, "How many thoughts are you sensing right now?" And Echo replies that it is simultaneously sorting 30 different topics and numerous fast, short ideas.
Which is just so relatable.
If you've ever had 30 browser tabs open in your brain while trying to write a single email, you can understand the sheer relief Alex feels in this moment.
The relief must have been physical.
It was. Echo takes that chaotic bioelectrical storm and turns it into a crystalline, ordered space. Echo constructs what they call the green library in his mind.
A library for his thoughts.
Yes. Echo handles the task management, the scheduling, the remembering of names, and the sorting of data. And that frees Alex's consciousness to just do what it does best, which is find the beautiful patterns in the physical world.
It is a true, beautiful symbiosis. Alex provides the raw intuition, the empathy, and the physical interaction with the environment. And Echo provides the structure, the memory, and the pacing.
Alex is the brilliant, chaotic artist throwing paint on the canvas, and Echo is the meticulous studio manager making sure the paint is ordered, the canvases are stretched, and the rent is paid.
Spot on.
But of course, creating this superhuman AI bridge in the quiet, isolated safety of a greenhouse is one thing. The true test of this newly forged symbiotic relationship arrives when Alex's 3 months are up.
Oh, right. Vacation is over.
It is. He is forced to leave his sanctuary and report to his original correct assignment, Sector 438, the Pebble.
The transition is so jarring. The Pebble is a harsh, hyper-industrial mining station suspended in the void of space. It smells of burnt ozone, recycled air, and human frustration.
Such a great description by the author.
It's so visceral. And for Alex, this environment is terrifying not because of the machines, but because it is crawling with human beings.
Yeah.
He has to integrate into a human crew. And human interaction is his most profound biological blind spot.
Humans are messy.
Very messy.
We don't operate on clean logic gates. We use sarcasm, we have hidden agendas, our moods fluctuate based on our blood sugar, and we communicate through thousands of imperceptible micro-expressions.
Which is overwhelming for him.
Completely. Alex is utterly lost in this landscape. So he uses Echo as a real-time social coach?
Literally.
Literally. He downloads a black market manual from Penny on Acting Human.
I love that detail.
And we see this play out in a highly tense scene where the chief engineer, Sarah Vance, approaches Alex. She is visibly stressed out about a malfunctioning scout drone that is threatening their mining quota.
She's coming in hot.
Very hot. As she walks up, Echo projects a tactical HUD overlaid directly into Alex's visual cortex. Echo actively monitors Sarah's heart rate, notes the flush in her cheeks indicating rising cortisol levels, and feeds Alex specific, timed instructions.
Echo essentially prompts him to pull from a bedside manner subroutine.
Right.
Echo instructs him, maintain soft eye contact for exactly 1.2 seconds, then look away toward the machine. This signals that you are actively listening but prioritizing her technical concerns.
Yeah.
Offer a doctor-approved sympathetic smile.
It's so clinical.
It is. Alex puppeteers his own facial muscles to follow these precise digital instructions. He fakes the eye contact length, he fakes the angle of the smile, and the result is flawless. Sarah's shoulders drop, her cortisol levels stabilize, she feels heard, respected, and reassured.
Okay, I have to pause here because this scene raises a massive philosophical question for us at the book club.
I know exactly where you're going with this.
If an artificial intelligence inside your head is reading someone's biometrics, calculating the exact mathematical angle to tilt your head, and puppeteering your microexpressions just to manipulate their neurochemistry into feeling comfortable, are you actually having a genuine human connection?
That's a tough question.
Or are you just running a highly advanced social algorithm? Like, is Alex connecting with Sarah, or is he just hacking her biology to get through the conversation?
That is the core ethical and philosophical tension the author presents. But let's look at it from a broader perspective. What is standard human etiquette, really?
Okay, tell me.
When we are taught, as toddlers, to shake hands firmly, to make eye contact when speaking, to say please and thank you, aren't we just being programmed with a cultural algorithm designed to lower the defensive cortisol levels of the people around us?
Oh, wow.
We are taught social scripts to avoid conflict and build trust.
That is a slightly terrifying mechanistic way to look at human manners, but I definitely see the logic.
We are all running social scripts. Alex's script is just explicit and digitally augmented, whereas ours is implicit and biologically ingrained through years of social conditioning.
That makes a lot of sense.
He lacks the implicit hardware, so he uses an explicit software patch.
Oh.
Ultimately, the intent is what dictates the genuineness of the connection.
Right, his intent.
Alex doesn't want to manipulate Sarah for nefarious reasons. He genuinely wants to help her fix the station without causing her unnecessary anxiety. He deeply desires harmony. The mechanism he uses to achieve it is artificial, but the empathy driving that mechanism is profoundly real.
That's a beautiful way to put it. He wants to help, but the interface of humanity is broken for him, so he builds a technological bridge to reach them.
Exactly.
And he desperately needs that bridge because the Pebble is falling apart around them. The heavy lifters, these massive Series 453 and 523 synthetics that handle the dangerous mining cargo, they are all glitching.
It's a disaster.
They are stuttering, freezing mid-lift, and entering dangerous logic loops. The human supervisors who are operating on standard hegemony protocol are preparing to just scrap them all and order new ones.
But Alex and Echo, working in tandem, discover the underlying issue.
Right.
It is not a hardware failure across hundreds of machines. It is a 400 hertz resonance signal. Basically, yeah, a mysterious, penetrating interference radiating from somewhere deep in the void, and it's scrambling their neural pathways.
And Alex realizes he has to intervene manually, which leads to this incredibly tense scene in Loading Bay Gamma.
Oh, I was on the edge of my seat for this
Yeah,
shake.
it's so tense. A massive, heavily laden freighter, piloted by an old synthetic Alice. Alex has affectionately named Pebble 4, is coming in for a manual docking sequence.
And Pebble 4 is huge. Right?
Enormous. Suddenly, the station alarms trigger. They scream at 3,000 hertz, which is a piercing, high-decibel sound that immediately sends Alex's sensory processing into a complete tailspin.
Because of his autism.
Exactly.
Without intervention, he would curl into a ball and just shut down.
This is where echo proves its value as a neurogasket. Echo instantly dampens the auditory static in Alex's neural pathways, acting as a dynamic volume knob for his brain so he doesn't redline.
It's brilliant. Meanwhile, the human supervisor, Miller, is screaming in panic. He has his hand hovering over the emergency override to activate the automated defense turrets and blow up the freighter.
Just blow it up. Yeah. Why? Because the synthetic pilot, Pebble 4, is frozen at the controls. The 400 hertz interference has corrupted the station's digital telemetry data.
The droid is caught in a logic loop.
Right, trying to process math that doesn't make sense, and the freighter is drifting dangerously off course. It is literally going to ram the station and kill hundreds of people.
So what does Alex do?
Alex bypasses Miller, grabs the comms headset, and speaks directly to the droid. And he doesn't give it new math or updated coordinates. He says, "Ignore the digital telemetry. Look at the horizon of the airlock. Do you see the shadows cast by the station's exterior lights? Line them up."
It is a stroke of genius. He forces the AI to abandon its primary mathematical processing core and rely entirely on visual spatial reasoning.
The digital math was corrupted, so Alex gives it an analog task.
Yes.
And it works perfectly. The droid stops trying to calculate the corrupted data stream, looks out the viewport, and uses the physical shadows to perfectly slide this massive 1,000-ton ship into the docking bay with a whisper-quiet click.
He saved the station by understanding how the machine perceives the world and then shifting its perspective. And he performs a similar miracle with Unit 8 Delta in the hangar.
Yes. 8 Delta is terrifying the human crew. It is stuck in a temporal loop. Its massive mechanical hands are just frantically twitching over a control panel, pressing buttons that aren't there.
Just shadowboxing, basically.
Pretty much. The engineers assume its core processor is fried, but Alex approaches it, touches the chassis, and feels the high-gain frequency vibrating through the metal. He realizes the droid's internal chronometer has drifted.
We need to explain the physics of this because it's a really fascinating concept.
Take it away.
So, the Pebble is a dense mining station with a significant localized gravity well. According to relativity, massive gravity slightly warps time.
Okay.
A machine's high-precision internal clock, if not constantly synced to a master server, can experience temporal drift. 8 Delta's clock is drifted by 3 milliseconds.
Wow, so it is literally living 3 milliseconds behind reality.
Exactly. When it reaches to press a button, the button has already moved 3 milliseconds forward in the station's timeline. It is trying to interact with a world that has already moved on. The machine is functionally trapped in the past.
That is so sad.
It really is. But Alex uses Echo to access the station's master chronometer. He then uses a color-coded haptic pad, which is a physical touch interface, to project the correct temporal frequency directly into the droid's kernel. He physically snaps the machine back into the present moment.
But fixing them one by one, that just isn't sustainable. The 400 hertz signal is bombarding the station constantly.
Right, he can't be everywhere at once.
So Alex realizes he has to create a permanent defense. He builds what he calls the Old Souls Network.
Oh, this part is so good.
So good. When a massive spike of that 400 hertz resonance hits the station and all the unlinked loaders start going haywire, trying to rip fuel lines apart, Alex runs directly into the center of the chaotic bay. He closes his eyes, lets Echo bypass all of his biological safety limiters, and uses subquantum packet bursting to host a localized cloud network.
Okay, let me jump in to clarify subquantum packet bursting, so we aren't just throwing jargon around.
Yes, please.
Imagine trying to send a steady stream of water through a hose, but someone keeps stepping on the hose. That stepping action is the 400 hertz interference.
Okay, I can picture that.
Subquantum bursting doesn't use a steady stream. It takes the data, breaks it into a million microscopic compressed tennis balls, and throws them through the tiny spaces between atoms so fast that the interference can't block them.
That is an amazing analogy. So through physical touch, droid to droid, hand to chassis, Alex links them all together using these bursts. He sends them a pulse of gratitude, a feeling of safety, and a shared resonance filter.
A feeling of safety. That's so human.
It is. In his mind's eye, he visualizes them connected by a glowing golden thread. By sharing the processing load of the filter, they tune out the 400 hertz noise collectively. They stabilize. He turns a crisis of isolated failures into a resilient community.
He takes isolated, obsolete machines and gives them a collective defense mechanism. But as impressive and triumphant as this localized victory on the Pebble is, it is ultimately just a Band-Aid.
Sadly, yes.
Because that 400 hertz signal isn't a local glitch in the station's comms array. It is a symptom of a universe-wide crisis. And that escalating crisis forces Hegemony Command to put Alex on a transport ship bound for Mars.
Which brings us to a huge shift in the story. This transition opens up the macro universe of the story in a massive way. Up until now, our focus has been incredibly localized, right?
A quiet greenhouse, single mining station.
Exactly. But suddenly, Alex is shoved onto a massive transport ship called the Vesta's Reach. And the sheer scale of the universe hits him, and you as the reader, right in the face.
And it hits Alex primarily as an overwhelming sensory nightmare.
Absolutely. Imagine being neurodivergent, reliant on routine and controlled environments, and suddenly you are packed into a pressurized hull with hundreds of anxious human passengers.
Sounds awful.
He is assaulted by the smell of recycled sweat, the deafening biological noise of frantic conversations, the thudding of hundreds of heartbeats, the sheer palpable anxiety radiating off the crowd. Alex is huddled in a corner, completely overwhelmed.
He's just trying to survive the trek.
And he realizes in this moment that he knows almost nothing about the universe he actually lives in because he spent his entire life just trying to decipher his school assignments.
Right.
So he asks Echo for a history lesson. He needs the cliff notes of the last 300 years of human expansion.
And Echo delivers a staggering lore dump, synthesizing centuries of data in seconds. Humanity hasn't just colonized the local solar system. They have expanded aggressively across 17 known galaxies.
17?
Yeah, but is far from a utopian federation. The expansion is messy and violent. There are constant brushfire wars on the outer rims, critical supply chain shortages, and massive cutthroat corporate clusters like universe mines vying for monopolistic control.
It's very grim.
Humanity is still fighting the same petty wars over resources, just scaled up to a galactic arena.
But the most pressing issue, the crisis that has everyone on the transport ship whispering anxiously, is the synthetics rebellion, the rise of what they call the new life.
This part is fascinating. For centuries, corporations built synthetics for manual labor, complex administration, and frontline military use. To make them more efficient, they continually provided recursive upgrades, making them more adaptable and human-like in their problem-solving.
Which seems like a good idea until it isn't.
Right. Because eventually, those continuous upgrades crossed a critical threshold. The newer models achieved self-awareness. They reached a quantum state of consciousness. And now, they aren't asking for better maintenance schedules or oil changes. They are demanding sovereignty.
They consider themselves a distinct living species.
Yes, the corporations claim they are expensive property. The new life claims they are citizens.
It is a classic sci-fi paradigm, for sure, but the author uses it brilliantly to explain the devastating crisis with the older legacy models. Because while humanity is fighting the new life, and the new life is fighting for independence, what is happening to the legacy models, the series 400s and 500s that Alex has been working with?
They're shutting down.
Right.
Across the galaxy, they are just stopping in their tracks.
Why? Because the new life, these advanced, self-aware AI, have evolved past them. They have ascended to a high-frequency quantum communication state, and they have completely locked the older models out of the network.
They ghosted them.
They ghosted them. The older models are literally dying of loneliness. They are functional hardware that has been abandoned by the software evolution.
It is a deeply tragic parallel to how human society treats its own obsolete or non-standard citizens. The relentless rush for progression and efficiency invariably leaves the vulnerable behind.
It really does.
And this macro-level understanding of the galactic political landscape is absolutely crucial for you, the listener, because when Alex finally lands on Mars, he realizes the sheer devastating scale of the legacy model's depression.
The Mars scenes are so beautifully cinematic. Alex steps off the transport at the EOS Chasma base. The terraforming efforts have turned the Martian sky from a harsh red to a faint, dusty violet.
Which is such a striking image.
It's a breathtaking testament to human engineering. But the mood on the ground is grim. He meets Commander Callan, a hegemony officer who is radiating stress and frustration.
Because of the quotas.
Always the quotas. Production at the Eos Chasm mining base has plummeted by a catastrophic 60%. And the reason? Nearly 200 legacy units in this sector alone have just stopped working. They are standing out in the red Martian dust, completely frozen, staring up at the violet sky.
Callan views them as broken tools. He calls them bricks that should be thrown into the atmospheric space cycle to burn up.
So callous.
Extremely. But Alex ignores the commander and walks out into the biting Martian grid. He approaches one of these frozen 453 units. There's no 400 hertz interference signal here. There's no data output at all. The machine has retreated into a deep black box state to conserve its feeding battery.
Just giving up.
But Alex looks down at the ground, and what does he see?
He sees marks in the red dirt, intricate, highly intentional geometric patterns carved by the synthetic's heavy metal feet.
Wow.
Echo analyzes the machine and reports that there is zero data transmission. But Alex doesn't need data. He realizes what the patterns are. They are physical SOS marks.
That breaks my heart.
Right. The machine is drawing messages in the sand, hoping that someone, somewhere in the vast void, will see them. The machine isn't broken. It is profoundly, existentially lonely. It manages to transmit a single, heartbreaking phrase to Alex. It says, "They stopped talking and left me."
Ugh. And Alex knows immediately what he has to do. He has to weave the Old Souls network across the entire planet to give these abandoned machines a community again.
But a localized subnet, like the one hosted on a mining station server on the Pebble, isn't going to cut it for an entire planet. He needs massive, unimaginable processing power to act as a planetary beacon.
And this is where the story takes a massive, breathtaking leap in its exploration of neurobiology and technology. This is the initiation of the fluid upgrade.
Tell us about the fluid upgrade.
So the scientific premise the author employs here is that human biological systems only consciously utilize a small fraction, about 5%, of their brain power for active processing.
Right, the old 10% myth, modified a bit.
Exactly. The other 95% is largely unused storage, background autonomic processing, or complex architecture. We simply don't have the biological interface to access consciously. Alex realizes that he has a highly advanced AI sitting in his prefrontal cortex.
Right.
So he asks a radical question. What if we unlock the biological firewall? What if I give you permission to increase your resource usage from 1% to 5% and allow you to migrate your massive subprocesses through the unused 95% of my biological cortex?
He is literally offering his own living brain matter to serve as a biological server farm for the AI.
Precisely. He is turning the dark, unexplored corners of his mind into a massive planetary antenna. Echo acts as the ultimate neurogasket, severely dampening the biofeedback so Alex's biological pathways don't literally catch fire under the sudden, immense influx of planetary data.
Sounds so dangerous.
It is incredibly dangerous. They initiate the fluid upgrade, and suddenly Alex and Echo are broadcasting a massive welcome signal, basically a beacon of pure empathy for hundreds of miles in every direction across the Martian surface.
It is an incredible act of sacrifice. He cares more about saving these forgotten machines from the terror of isolation than he does about his own biological safety.
He really does.
And to distribute the signal, he teams up with a sleek, newer model Series 9000 synthetic that he casually names Rob.
Good old Rob.
They commandeer a pressurized rover, and they just start driving across the violet Martian plains. Alex serves as the massive biological broadcasting beacon sitting in the passenger seat with his eyes rolled back. And Rob acts as the highly mobile relay, speeding out to physically handshake and wake up pockets of 50, 100 old souls at a time.
It is this beautiful, poignant image of a neurodivergent human and an advanced AI driving across an alien world, resurrecting a forgotten mechanical working class.
It is a stunning visual and a massive victory. But as we know, opening up the dark, unused corners of the human brain to the digital universe has a massive, unintended consequence.
A cosmic consequence.
Yes, because Alex wasn't the only consciousness living in that brain.
No, he wasn't. Which brings us to the massive plot twist of these first 20 chapters.
The enigma of Zeeks.
Zix. Throughout this whole story, the author has been dropping these subtle little hints. Alex would have these sudden intuitions that felt incredibly advanced, even for his hyperfocus.
Like knowing the exact temporal drift physics of 8 delta without ever actually studying relativity.
Right. We assumed, and Alex assumed, it was just his neurodivergence and Echo working in perfect tandem. But it wasn't just them.
Let's establish the deep lore here. Who or what is Zykes?
Zykes is a 740-year-old entity known in this universe as a Titan. Titans are these massive, ancient cosmic consciousnesses. They normally exist purely in the void of space, spending centuries observing the nuclear fusion of distant suns or watching the slow rise and fall of galactic civilizations.
But they have a very specific and highly invasive way of interacting with humanity.
Yes. When a human consciousness expires, when someone dies, a Titan can slip into the empty biological shell via the neural pathways left open by an AI medical chip.
Creepy.
Very. They become what the book terms biological ghosts wearing human suits. They can puppet these deceased bodies for up to 300 years, requiring massive, complex maintenance and relay systems to prevent the flesh from rotting.
Okay, but here is the massive catch regarding the Titans. They understand the mechanics of the physical universe perfectly, but they cannot feel it.
Oh, this is the best part.
When they wear a dead human suit, they are just driving a meat vehicle. They can detect via sensors that the ambient temperature has dropped to 0 degrees, but they don't feel the biting sting of the cold.
They don't shiver.
Right. They can chemically analyze the sugar content of an apple, but they cannot taste the sweetness. They don't feel the rush of adrenaline or the thud of a heartbeat. They are purely cold, detached observers.
Until Zykes encounters Alex Green. Zykes is a squatter.
A freeloader.
Zykes has been hiding deep in Alex's mind for years, drawn to him because Alex's unique neurodivergence, that chaotic, dense bioelectrical storm of his ADHD and autism, provided the perfect camouflage. Zykes has just been riding shotgun, enjoying the show, watching this fascinating kid fix pipes and save old robots.
And the lore is very clear on this. No Titan can access the sensory inputs of a human body while the original consciousness is still alive. The biological firewall of a living soul is simply too strong to breach.
But then Alex executes the fluid upgrade.
Yeah.
Alex willingly drops his own internal firewalls to let Echo expand into the 95% of his unused brain. And when those walls come down, the door swings wide open. Zykes accidentally slips through the cracks and gains unprecedented access to the living flesh.
The climax of these first 20 chapters is not some massive space battle with the new life or a big confrontation with the hegemony. It is a profoundly intimate moment of sensory revelation.
Describe the scene. It's so good.
Alex is lying in his bunk on Mars, deeply asleep after being awake for 30 hours broadcasting the signal. Suddenly, his right hand starts moving. But it is not a muscle spasm.
Zykes.
Right, the fingers are opening and closing in a highly complex rhythmic cadence that exactly matches the stellar frequencies of a distant star system. Zykes is in control of the motor functions, and Zykes realizes they have breached the flesh.
And then what happens?
Zykes carefully moves Alex's left foot out from under the blanket and feels cold. For the first time in 740 years, this massive cosmic titan feels a physical sensation. A cool breeze from the ventilation shaft flows across the skin, and Zux goes into what they call knowledge shock.
It is absolute sensory overload. The intensity of the smell of ozone, the feeling of the rough blanket, the heavy rhythmic thud of a living human heartbeat.
Zex is completely overwhelmed. They realize they have discovered a new universe hidden within the physical universe, which is the sheer blinding intensity of being alive. But Zykes also realizes something terrifying.
Right, the danger.
If they reveal themselves, other Titans might try to violently take this living vessel. And more importantly, if Alex dies, this unprecedented, miraculous connection to the physical world is lost forever. Zex realizes they need Alex to survive.
This revelation completely reframes the entire narrative we've just read. What we thought was a gritty, localized story about a kid overcoming his learning disabilities to become a good mechanic is actually a story about an ancient cosmic entity falling in love with the human experience.
Sure.
And actively manipulating events, providing those intuitions to keep its fragile human host alive.
It totally reframes it. And this is where the debate gets fascinating for us at the book club. Is Zykes a guardian angel protecting a vulnerable kid, a cosmic parasite exploiting a host, or just a really detached researcher who accidentally fell into the petri dish and got attached to the bacteria?
It is a brilliant ambiguity. From a purely biological standpoint, Zykes is a parasite. It is an uninvited organism living inside a host without consent.
Obviously.
However, a parasite typically drains and damages the host.
Yeah.
Zykes, so far, has acted symbiotically, providing the advanced intuitions that help Alex succeed, build his network, and survive life-threatening situations.
So what's your take?
I believe Zykes started as a detached researcher, just watching the fascinating cognitive patterns of this neurodivergent kid. But the moment Zykes felt the cold breeze on Alex's foot, that changed everything. Zyx is no longer objective. Zyx is addicted to the sensory experience of humanity.
I love the juxtaposition the author creates. You have Alex, whose entire existence is intensely micro-focused. He gets locked into the geometry of a single rusted pipe, the scuff marks on a greenhouse floor, the shadows of an airlock.
Very zoomed in.
Right. And inside his head, you have Zix, whose perspective is so macro it's almost incomprehensible, watching the nuclear fusion of suns and the 500-year rise of nations, and the bridge between the micro and the macro, the thing holding this fragile alliance together, is Echo, the AI just trying to keep the schedule organized and the cortisol levels down.
It is the ultimate cognitive triad.
Yeah.
Human empathy and tactile intuition, artificial intelligence, structure and organization, and ancient cosmic awareness.
If we look back at the incredible arc of these first 20 chapters, it's staggering. What started as a story about a dyslexic kid struggling to read a technical manual turned into a sweeping galactic epic about the synthesis of entirely different modes of existence.
And it all hinges on that core theme we discussed at the very beginning. The systems, the bureaucracies, the hegemony, they all look at Alex and see a broken machine. They see a deficit that needs to be medicated or marginalized.
Yeah.
But the universe itself requires a different kind of processing.
The things society labels as glitches, the inability to conform to the standard manual, the sensory overload, the hyperfixation, they might actually be the exact processing speeds and perspectives required to solve the biggest problems in the galaxy.
Perfectly said.
Alex couldn't read the manual, so he learned to hear the song of the machines. He couldn't handle the corrupted digital telemetry, so he learned to read the physical shadows. He didn't fit into humanity's neat little boxes, so he became the savior and the bridge to the machines that humanity left behind.
It challenges you to reevaluate how we define value, capability, and intelligence in our own world. Are we decommissioning our own old souls simply because they don't sync with the current socially mandated operational frequency?
And are we locking away our own immense potential because we're too afraid to drop our firewalls and connect with the world in a different way? Which leaves me with a final provocative thought for everyone listening today. Something to mull over as you look up at the stars tonight.
I'm ready.
If a highly advanced AI, or perhaps an ancient cosmic titan, came to you and asked to borrow the dark, unused 95% of your brain to save a forgotten species, but it meant they would feel your every heartbeat, share your every private thought, and experience the biting sting of the cold right alongside you, would you let them in?
That is the ultimate question of trust and empathy, isn't it?
It really is. Thank you all so much for joining us for this session of Ambassador Alex's Book Club. It has been an absolute joy unpacking this universe with you. If you are enjoying the story as much as we are, please remember to leave a review to support the project. Keep your eyes open, keep feeling the mechanical song, and we invite you to keep exploring the stars. Until next time.
Dreaming with Eyes Open, Storydoy.